It's only those few pages. Okay. Saida, did you come back?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, it's 6:29, so we're going to start right at 6:30.
Okay.
So maybe at 6:30, you'll just give your little spiel. I'll tell you when it's 6:30. I'm just looking at the time
Okay. Thanks.
right now. Thank you.
Okay, it's 6:30.
Okay, let's start. Thank you, Saida.
Good evening, everyone. A few notes for you, particularly if this is your first meeting with us. You'll notice that you are muted and unable to mute yourself. After the presentation, the co-chairs may call on members of the public who wish to speak. You can ask to be recognized by raising your virtual hand. You can do that by going to the reactions button at the bottom of your screen and selecting raise hand. If you're on the phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute. Once you're recognized by the co-chair, I will unmute you and you may be prompted to confirm unmuting on your device. If you're using an older version of Zoom, you can access the raised hand feature by clicking the participants button on the menu at the bottom of your screen and selecting raise hand. The chat function is available for technical support only, not to ask questions of the co-chairs. You can send me a chat if you're having any trouble and I can help troubleshoot any issues with you. And with that, I'll pass the mic to you, Jane.
Thank you very much, Saida. Good evening. This is the November meeting of the Landmarks Committee of Community Board 8. We only have one application tonight. We will hear, as Saida said, from the applicant, then from the public, and then we'll go into executive session and formulate a resolution. We are here to discuss the context and appropriateness of the application within the historic district. So with that, we're going to start at 1060 Park Avenue. It's lost the agenda here. It's a JER Carpenter building, and the application is to enlarge a penthouse. So I don't know who wants to start for the applicant. Who is doing the presenting? Do we know? I see.
Yes, we have 4 members of the team, so I'll go ahead and unmute everyone.
Okay, thank you. Jennifer, are you going to be the lead presenter?
I am. Yes.
Great. Okay.
You tell me when you're ready.
We're ready.
Okay, great. My name is Jennifer Jarek Harris. I'm a partner at Peter Benoyer Architects, and Peter sends his regrets. He's traveling at the moment, or he would have been here this evening. And I have a few of my colleagues in the office that are going to help to navigate the screen here. So our application is for the penthouse that is at 1060 Park Avenue, which is located on the corner of Park and East 87th Street. Next. Ying, can you flip to the next screen? Slide, thank you. This next slide shows the context of its neighborhood location. A few historical facts over here to the right. As you mentioned, it's a J.E. Carpenter building built in the 1920s. It's predominantly a brick building with a few Flemish bond brickwork, coins, and stone steps at the entrance. And it does have a penthouse on the top. Next. This next slide talks about our penthouse. So the drawing that you see on the left is the current condition of the penthouse. The dashed areas to the far left side show the condition of the extension that is there now. And the red square that you see superimposed is emulating the proposed condition, which is on the right. And the reason for this application is that the stair egress path from the inner portion there to the exterior is not legally compliant in its current condition. And so our hope is to modify that arrangement so that it is compliant and yet still serves as a space for the owner. Next slide. This is another view showing the same conditions, but from the rooftop view. So the dashed lines on your left are the superimposed modification to the existing condition. These few drawings here, the top element is the existing condition. The dashed areas are showing that windows will be replaced and the new addition is being modified on the left. The drawing on the bottom shows you what that elevation will look like. Steel frame windows and doors to replicate what's there. And it's also, I'm sorry, just one more thing to point out. It's not any taller than the current penthouse is presently. Next slide. This is the south view, also showing what the penthouse addition will look like with its current condition and its proposed condition. With the door in the center there, that's the egress that leads you to the stair. Next slide. These are some photos that we had taken, and we were requested to provide a mock-up. And so in the upper right-hand corner, you can see a mock-up was created with wood framing and orange netting. And if I start with the photos from the left, nothing is visible until you get to elevation or photo number 8. This is where it's visible from the corner of 87th Street and Madison Avenue. Next slide. This is a rendering also demonstrating the same plan and elevation drawings that we've been showing. So again, the rendering down to your right shows the door with the egress coming out of the stair. One element that we'd like to impose upon this is that the material, currently the material is a whitish, light gray stucco material. We'd like to propose that the coloration of it is blended in much better with the brick so that it has a color that's similar in its nature. Next slide. And again, these are additional photos. So from the left, this is the existing view. The center shows the mock-up, and the rendering to your right shows what the penthouse would look like if this proposal is approved. And
Jennifer, is that it?
that completes the application, yes.
Well, I'm a little bit confused. First of all, you're increasing the footprint. How many square feet are you adding?
I believe it is 65 square feet. All within the setbacks that have been permitted, and I believe within the allowances that are available.
Okay, and the other question I have is, what is the height and width?
The height, Ying, could you go to that page and zoom into that area, please? 10
Oh, I
foot
see.
3.5. And if we go to the plan and zoom into that area. So the width up and down the page is 10 foot 5.25, and left and right, it's adding 5'11" to the existing 9 foot 5.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
When this addition is adding to the living space, or it's merely to correct the egress to the staircase?
It's to correct the egress. So the added
That's
square
all
footage
it's
is
doing.
correct. So the owner is not adding any more livable space to their own apartment, penthouse. And the added piece is basically that hallway that gets you through out to the terrace.
So where is the existing staircase and where's the existing?
Correct. The staircase hasn't changed its location. It's really the pathway from the staircase to the terrace.
Okay, that explains a lot. Pathway from existing staircase to the terrace. So you need that little hallway.
Correct.
Okay,
And yes, and it has to be in a fire rated enclosure with fire rated doors.
okay. And before you just stepped right out to the terrace and now there's going to be the little hallway.
Before you actually went through the apartment.
Oh, I see.
Right. So this is our proposal.
Okay. Okay, so you went through the apartment to the terrace.
Correct.
Okay, very good. And now you won't because there will be this little hallway.
Correct.
Okay, I think I have a clearer idea now. Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Is anyone from the public present?
We do have some members of the public present. If you'd like to speak, you can raise your virtual hand. I see no raised hands, Jane.
Okay, very good. Then we can go to the community board. You might start in alphabetical order. And we
Okay.
can...
Elizabeth, it's *6 to unmute.
It seems pretty innocuous to me. It's hard to quite follow this thing, but I think it's not very large. It's up at the top of the building, and unless one of my colleagues has found something that I haven't, I don't see a problem with this.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Michelle?
Thank you. Yes, I have to say I still don't understand it. I'm going to need further explanation. Both defining for me the staircase. How does the staircase go through the apartment now? And then from there out to the terrace. And now the staircase just goes through the terrace vestibule. I don't understand that. So I'd like further explanation. And also, did I see that you increased the height? And if you did, now, if you did increase the height, what was the purpose of that if it's not providing any additional living space? And if all you're doing is providing a vestibule that separates or connects the stairwell to the apartment. So do you have an actual visual? The plans are a little confusing. Do you have any kind of an actual visual?
In this presentation, I do not have a photograph of the existing, but perhaps I can try and answer your questions. And
Sure.
If you'd like me to follow up with some photos, I can certainly do that. Oh, thank you, Ying. Thank you. So that is the extension that is there now. It has the lower sloped roof, as you mentioned. You asked about height, and that's the visual of what it does look like now.
But where's the stairwell in relation to this?
It's inside the apartment. So if we go to the plan again, Ying, for a moment, if you could put your cursor on the plan, so that. Correct. Okay, so the stairwell is inside the apartment. That is a service stair.
Excuse me, can you just put your cursor on the area on the plan? That is the picture you just showed me?
Yes. Standing on the terrace, right there, looking back towards the looking back, right. So correct. Thank you. So that is that extension that you see there. And that is that door. Correct.
Okay.
So if I may go back to the plan for one moment, the staircase that does currently exist in the building, it has a door that enters into the apartment rather than outside to the terrace, which is an egress path. And so our proposal is to rearrange that addition so that you have a proper fire rated egress path that leads you to the terrace and not through someone's apartment.
And why does that need a height increase?
The only reason we raised the height, and Ying, if you could go to those visuals of the elevations, please, that we drew, the drawing, yes, is that it really was more harmonized in the way that it could be constructed and viewed as a single mass, rather than having a pitched roof that has a different angle to it, different details, fenestrations. It's kind of a sore thumb up there. And we really wanted to make it feel very homogeneous and harmonized up there.
You don't show the roof on this slide though, however.
The roof is a continuous flat roof. If you could draw a line, Ying, of where the roof is. Go back to the elevations, please. Okay, so that is the roof. It's a flat roof. And if you look above, you can see the angled roof of what the previous addition was. The rest of the penthouse has a flat roof. So we're just simply matching the context of 90% of what is up there.
So the fact that you are lifting the lowest part of the angled roof to make it a flat roof, that accounts for the height addition?
Yes, that's what brings it to the 13 foot 3.5, which is the height of the rest of the roof. The highest point of that angle is the 13 3.5.
And what was it?
Ian, could you pan out just a moment? And go up to the higher elevation, the existing elevation. And I don't have a dimension on there, but I would hazard to say it's probably about 11 foot 6 maybe.
So you're raising it approximately 2 feet?
Approximately.
Now, is this penthouse visible from anywhere at the moment in its current form?
Let's go to those photos at the end, Ying. And zoom in on to maybe to the last, yes. So the last page where we had the images, the very last page, if you don't mind. Thank you. So on the left at the very top. So zoom in there if you don't mind. So you can see that that extension is not really visible.
That's the extension or the penthouse in its current form? What are we looking at now?
Well, the penthouse in its current form at that angle, at that side is not visible.
This is from Park Avenue or Madison?
If we zoom out, I will let you know. It is from Madison and 87th Street.
And what about from Park?
Let's go back to the other page. So you can see it is, zoom in a little bit more, Yang, if you don't mind. Zoom in a little bit more, please. There you go. You can see it's barely visible there. You can see the white at the top. That is the penthouse.
Okay, let me just define my thinking here so you'll understand why I'm asking these questions. I think that the color change that you are proposing, and by the way, what material is that? Is that just painted stucco?
It's a stucco, yes.
Okay, so I think that the color that you're proposing, the new color, sort of a clay color, brick color, is going to do the trick to make the penthouse blend in more than it does now. However, I think that's going to be the blending element. I don't think the increase in height is going to add to its blending. And the fact that we're going from practically no visibility to some visibility, I would object to that, especially since you don't seem to need that height to satisfy your compliance. So my feeling would be to, change the door, change the color, move that to make it compliant, but to leave the height as is.
Could you go to the last slide for a moment, just so we can see this? Those all together, if you don't mind. Okay, understood. I think that if we did lower that roof or angle it, I think some of it would still be slightly visible. I don't think it'll go away completely.
No, but that's what exists. So we're not asking you, nor do you want to tear it down. So the fact that that exists, it exists. But to exacerbate that, when to my mind, it's not helping with your ultimate remediation of a current non-compliance, and you're blending with the color, I don't think you need to raise the roof. So those are my comments. That's my feeling about it. Is it, and I don't know, excuse me, I'm sorry. This application includes raising the roof. So I don't know how much consultation you have to do, or if you can make a statement at this.
Why don't we hear,
meeting,
Michelle,
but
let's hear
what
from the rest
everybody
of the
else
committee.
says.
Michelle, we're going to hear from the rest of the
Yes,
committee.
I just suggested that, Jane.
Okay, thank you.
Sarah, confirm unmuting.
Hi, thank you for this presentation, and I have no question. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Anthony, confirm unmuting.
Thank you. Look, at the short answer is that this is fine. The long answer is that it adds all of about 30 square feet to the penthouse. Yes, it will be marginally visible from Madison, if anyone is so inclined to look up and look at it. It's a logical response. There seems to be, to me anyway, professionally, no reason whatsoever not to maintain the existing height of the penthouse. And furthermore, I think, it's the penthouse. It's fine. It solves actually a terrible code fire safety issue, and at a very small cost to the city at large. Changing the height of the end of that room, I think, would do nothing to A, improve the room, or B, improve the appearance of the building. The fact that it is 6 feet closer to the edge doesn't mean that you won't see it, even if you were to continue the existing roof line. I think it's the right solution, and it is certainly so modest an intervention that, aside from the fact that it's visible from the public way, I am surprised that this could not, in fact, be solved could not be approved at a staff level. I mean, the penthouse is already a not very nice piece of architecture, and I think that the architects have merely tried to make what is okay but not great a little bit better and a lot more rational. So anyway, I think this is fine.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thanks, Jane.
May, confirm unmuting.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, and I don't really have any flags or concerns, so no questions on my end.
Thank you. Marco?
Thank you. I think this is a very sensitive application. It's minimal visible from Madison and 87th Street. 65 square feet is not nothing in this building. And the extension that we are talking about is 140 feet high. Nobody's gonna pay attention. If it's gonna increase 3 feet, it's almost not visible at all. The main idea to comply with the means of egress is extremely important, and it has to be continuous. It cannot pass through any other space, and it has been passing through the vestibule of that apartment, and therefore I think it's a reasonable application, and I support that. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. Christina? Christina Davis, confirm unmuting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, ahora sí.
Okay, we can come back to you, Christina. Kimberly?
Thanks, Aida. I'd like to reiterate the points that Anthony made. I actually walked by this building yesterday to prepare for this meeting, and just you, especially from this picture right here, you'd really have to be straining to see this. And I believe that, you know, the benefit of not just fixing the code violation, but bringing this penthouse addition more in line with the rest of the building outweighs, you know, the visibility from Madison. So I can support this.
Okay, let's try Christina again. Christina, can you confirm unmuting? Okay. David?
Can you go to the plan, please? I guess I'm curious as to why it seems to me that you would want to minimize the visibility. And what you did is you set it back 3.5 feet from where it was. And if I take that 3.5 by, what about 6, I can't read that, but you know, you must have at least 20 feet, well, 3 feet by 9 feet. So you got almost 30 feet. That it's more, it's 3.5. So you have over 30 square feet that you gave away. If we took the 65 square feet and we took 30 feet off of it, we made the room a little more like a square, then it would be that much less visible. So my question is why you chose to do it the way you did when you could have made it less visible.
It was very important to our owner that they not have to give up square footage of an apartment that they already owned. And so this reconstruction.
I wasn't giving up square footage. I was letting you take the additional footage. I'm only saying that you would have had a room that was a little more squarish than a rectangle. You could still have the footage. But if you moved the wall forward that has the double doors, instead of having moved it back, and then the other wall, keeping the 65 square feet, and then you move the other wall closer to the building. Thank you, that's exactly right. If you had done that, you would have less visibility. So I was just asking why you chose not to do that.
Advice from our expediter and the zoning rules that we researched, there is a minimum setback from the 87th Street side. That's, I believe it's 15 feet from the facade of the building, from the property line, which puts our current condition not compliant, which hence brings us to where that facade is. So where the double
Okay.
doors and the 2 doors on the sides,
So
that meets the setback line.
okay. You answered my question. Other than that, I have no problems with what you did. Is all of the stucco going to become the brick color?
Yes, around the entire perimeter of the
Right.
penthouse.
Right, okay. And I think it's a fine project and certainly has my support.
Thank you, David. The project has my support as well. So does anybody want to formulate a resolution on this? It sounds like it's an approval, just,
Okay, resolution to approve as presented.
is there a second?
Second from Anthony.
Thank you. I think we can go to the vote, Saida.
Okay. Let's actually do, please raise your hand if you are voting no, abstaining, or not voting for cause. Okay, Michelle,
No.
thank you.
So
1
I
second.
think
Jane,
the
I'll-
resolution carries. And thank you to the applicant. I do think the drawings are slightly confusing, so I can understand why there were so many questions. But anyway, thank you. Is the applicant still here? I just wondered if anybody wanted to discuss anything for new business, or I know that Elizabeth has a building board meeting to go to, so she was going to be leaving early. I think we can stop the screen share, Saida, or
Okay.
Thank you all for your time,
thank you.
and we appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else that anybody wanted to discuss? I think Elizabeth's, she's still on the phone.
Yes.
Well, motion to adjourn. Does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Okay, thank you to everyone. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Sounds good.
Have a good
Thank you
night,
so much.
everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.